This is the HTVRont Autopress. And this is the HTVRont Autopress 2 Digit. Now, this is the successor to the super popular HTVRont Autopress, but there are some key differences. Now, when it comes to the original HTVRont Autopress, there were two main complaints. The first one was the biggest one, which was there is not enough pressure. Personally, I always had issues with heat transfer vinyl and screen print transfers. Now, for me personally, those were the two most problematic media types. Now, a few other people have told me that they had problems with DTF transfers. So today we're going to be comparing both the HTVRont Autopress 1 and the HTVRont Autopress 2 to see if the Autopress 2 actually made improvements from the first version. Not just that, but we are going to be pressing three different media types, which is going to be what I mentioned earlier: HTV, DTF, and screen print transfers. So with that, let's jump into the comparison. So in terms of size, they're both pretty similar, except the HTVRont Autopress 2 is going to be a little bit bigger. Now, as far as the width, they are about the same. When it comes to the length, same thing, but the biggest difference is going to be in the height. So the Autopress 2 is a little bit higher than the Autopress 1. Now, what about the pull-out drawers? Well, as you can see, the HTVRont Autopress 1 has a dedicated handle, while the HTVRont Autopress 2 is actually built in to the underside. So clearly, you can see that the HTVRont Autopress 2 has a lot more clearance back here than the HTVRont Autopress 1. Now, on the first version, I would always burn myself trying to adjust the shirt back here. So I always like to have the collar hanging to the back. So I always like to have this collar hanging from the back. So the only thing that gets pressed is the actual shirt. I don't want to press any seams because that always causes uneven pressure. Now, as you can see, it's very hard to be able to see where the collar actually lands on the first press. So it's actually under the heated platen. And that in itself is a very big design flaw. Now, with the Autopress 2, we don't have that issue. I can clearly lay down my shirt and I can easily see exactly where the collar is landing. So that way I can make sure that I always have even pressure. Now, on top of the extra clearance that you have back here, you also have more clearance between the actual heat press mat and the platen. Now here you can clearly see how much of a difference there is. Let's use fingers because it's a lot easier. So on here, I can easily stick 2 fingers, but on this one, I can't. The mat itself is preventing me from being able to stick both fingers in there. So as you can see, it's a lot tighter here than it is over here. There's a lot more clearance between these two. All right, so let's talk about the display. So on the first HTVRont Autopress, you have the temperature and the time. Besides that, you have your A and your B presets, and then you have the first preset, the second preset, third, and fourth. Now the 4 presets you cannot change. Presets A and B, you can change these. You want to change the temperature, just press up here, up for the temperature, time, up for the time. And then you have the auto press button over here, which whenever you press it, it automatically closes. Now for the HTVRont Autopress 2, you have a more advanced screen that you can actually move up and down. So that way, depending on how high your heat press is, it makes viewing the screen just a lot more comfortable. All you have to do is really just flip this open. So this obviously has a much bigger screen than the Autopress 1, and it has more or less the same features with one huge key difference. So down here, you do have a quick guide as to what all the buttons do, so that makes it easier to remember. So similar to the HTVRont Autopress 1, you do have your presets, which are 1, 2, 3, and 4, which you cannot change, but then you also have access to A, B, C, and D, which you are able to change. So in the HTVRont Autopress 1, you have access to 2 customizable presets, whereas in the HTVRont 2, you have access to 4. Now besides that, when it comes to changing the temperature and the time, you'd have the same buttons here. So the top one will change the temperature, while the left one will change the time. Now this is going to be the biggest difference between the HTVRont 2 and the HTVRont 1. And that is this button right here. So this button right here actually changes the pressure. Yes, the HTVRont Autopress 2 has adjustable pressure by pounds. And this This is what sets it apart. So we can go ahead and press the button, and we can adjust the pressure from 50 pounds to 70, 90, 110, all the way up to 170. So this is going to be considered heavy pressure. Besides that though, we also do have the auto press button. Now let's get into the good stuff and let's test it out. So to start, we have a screen print transfer from TKO Sales, and we have heat transfer vinyl from Caesar. So this is the Caesar Easy Weed. Besides that, I also have a DTF transfer from Ninja Transfers. Now this is a cold peel, so we're gonna have to press it and then wait for it to cool down. So we're gonna be testing out 3 different media types right now. And to start, let's go with the HTV. Heat transfer vinyl, every single time I would press it with the HTVRont Autopress 1, would always peel off the moment I would peel a carrier, unless I had extra added pressure or if I pressed it another time. So honestly, I never used heat transfer vinyl with the HTVRont Autopress, but that all might change right now. Let's go ahead and check it out. So first, let's go ahead and set our temperature. Let's set it to 300 degrees. As far as the pressure, I'm gonna leave it at 170 because that's what I always go with. I always use heavy pressure pretty much no matter what. And then the time, let's go ahead and adjust this and bring it down to 15 seconds. Give it a quick pre-press for 5 seconds. Lift the platen. And let's start with heat transfer vinyl. Let's see how this one sticks. Now I'm going to be doing this entire thing in real time for you just because I want you to know that these are real results. So let's see how it comes out. So let's see how it comes out. All right, first test with heat transfer vinyl. Oh baby! As always, what we want to do is make sure that we seal it in with a second press or a post press. Now let's go ahead and test out DTF transfers. Now, I believe these were supposed to be 20 seconds. That's why I'm pressing it again. So let's just give it the 5 seconds. So I just put this under it really fast just so I can kind of speed up the cooling process so you can see what it looks like and as I peel it. All right, this should be good enough. And boom, just like the HTV, everything came off of the transfer or the carrier. So far, we're at 2 for 2. Now, the real test is gonna be with the screen print transfers. These always require heavy pressure. So let's see how these stick. Let's go ahead and take this off. Let's move it a little bit. So I'm gonna just put it up here. Should give me enough space to place my transfer over here. Now, typically I don't cover my screen print transfers with any sheets, but I'm doing this right now because of the DTF up here. So that's why. And these are actually supposed to be 310, but it's fine. These are only a 7-second press. And you have to peel hot. Boom! What? It actually worked. Like, there's nothing on here. The entire transfer, the entire screen print transfer actually transferred over. Now this is amazing for an AutoPress. Now to seal it in, as always, whether you need it or not, I always like to do a second press. So let's go ahead and do that. And there we have it. Heat transfer vinyl, DTF, and screen print transfers. So as you can see, the HTVRont Autopress 2 Digit works with heat transfer vinyl, DTF, and screen print transfers. If you want to save $60 off of your HTVRont Autopress 2, then you can use my code Mario60 and check out the link down in the description below. Just so you know, that is an affiliate link, so if you click on it and make a purchase, I do get a small commission. Let me know your thoughts on the HTVRont Autopress 2 Digit down in the comments below. My name is Mario with Nickel Prints. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and catch y'all next time. Peace.